Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on crypto. Now let's dive into all of the subject matter that I covered in the Crypto Minute. So, I told you over the weekend that there is probably a commercial real estate problem, right? And I gave you the example of billionaire David Sacks having issues financing his $9 million loan for a $15 million, supposed $15 million in value commercial building. Now, I don't know why his lender said no, right? Basically, what the lender said was, we are willing to give you a $2.4 million loan, not collateralized, but you've got to collateralize the other 6.6. Ooh. His decision, I'll just freaking pay it off. I have the money. I'll just pay it off and I'll wait for, rates to get better and then I'll refinance then. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, why? Why were they unwilling to give this billionaire, a $9 million loan on this building? Because it says a lot, right? He says the building is worth 15, so a 9 should be no biggie, right? But apparently it is. So that tells me that there is an issue in commercial real estate. Like, that's true, right? And there you go. Because if it's worth 15, getting a 9, it should be easy. And it's not. It's not. So he had to cut a check for 9 million instead. So that tells me there's a problem in commercial real estate. Then I'm looking at the banking sector. That problem never went away, by the way. The regional banking issue never went away, not once. And people just weren't talking about it. But now you have S&P Global saying we're going to downgrade a whole bunch of banks. Let me read you the short list. Associated Bancorp, Valley National Bancorp, UMB Financial Corp, Comerica Bank, and Keycorp. And I'm sitting here looking at that list, and I gave you that list months ago as being identified as banks that could be having trouble in the future. And here we are with downgrades. That's big. So you've got an issue in commercial real estate, and you've got an issue with, regional banks that just can't be ignored. Mind you, what's the reason for commercial, those regional banks having issues? Well, deposits. Capitalizing is hard, right? Which means risk is going to be a problem, right? Operational risk. So I'm sitting here and I'm just going, yeah, those are two big issues that we're dealing with. So now that I sit back and I start doing the calculations in my head, and you do have Jackson Hole coming up, that's where Powell is going to meet with a whole bunch of people. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying to myself, this could be a good reason why they pause right here. These things coming together could be a good reason for a pause. Really good reasons for pausing, right? Because I think there's more to come. I really do think there's more to come. And the reason why I think there's more to come is because certain companies are having issues getting people to come back to the office. And they're using that opportunity to say, okay, well, you're fired. Okay, great. You're fired. Those people, there are other jobs people can get. So people are just getting other jobs. But that with commercial real estate, with banking issues, put that all together and that slows the economy, right? That kind of cools things off. Hence the term soft landing was being put out there for a little bit, for like a hot 2 seconds before people just said, yeah, there's just no landing. Came down, just went like that, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm just going, yeah. So there's a lot there. So those are arguments that are for a pause right now as opposed to another rate hike. Another rate hike, I think, would be ridiculously painful for the market. I think the market would just freak out. So my odds are now leaning toward a pause as opposed to just a little while ago. Just a few days ago, I was thinking, maybe one more than the pause. I think there's going to be a pause. So it's big that S&P is downgrading. They're joining Moody's in this downgrade. Moody's did it a while ago. So I'm paying attention to these things. They're too loud not to pay attention to. Way too loud. Then you have major move, right? So Coinbase and Circle ran this thing called the Center Consortium. And the Center Consortium was in charge of the issuance and governance of USDC. Excuse me. Well, that consortium is going away. That's being closed. And all of those services are being moved in-house to Circle. And Coinbase walks away with a minority stake without having to kick up a dime. Smooth move. They joined BlackRock and Fidelity. Because remember, last year, Circle did a $400 million raise. And the bulk of that money came from BlackRock and Fidelity. And now here's Coinbase. And I think Coinbase already had a piece of Circle. So to me, I think this is another addition to that piece. They share in revenue from the interest from Circle Holdings. And the deal just gets good. Good move. Couldn't have happened without the nod coming from other investors. So very interesting, to say the least. So that means direct ownership by some of the largest companies in the space. Fidelity, BlackRock, Coinbase. Kind of a big deal. So I'm paying attention to that. Something else I'm paying attention to is, so there was a $55 million Bitcoin outflow, right? People sold off Bitcoin. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, okay, so who would sell Bitcoin? People that are short-sighted. People that actually thought the SEC was going to say, yes, we will grant this, who was it, CoinShares? We will grant this, I think it was CoinShares and Grayscale, Bitcoin spot ETF. People like me were like, that's not going to happen. That was not going to happen, right? So those people said, skip it, I'm getting out. So they sold off in about $55 million in a week, went out the door from Bitcoin. Those are people that are short-sighted in this space. They might be really smart elsewhere, but in this space, they're very short-sighted. I would have held on. And the reason why I would have held on is because of everything that's going on, right? When you look at everything that's going on and you say to yourself, well, there's going to be a halving event. Bitcoin is scarce. It's a great store of value. I just sit there and just go, oh, yeah. So that was the mindset of these people selling $55 million worth. And I get it. You made an investment, didn't pan out, cut your losses, take your funds and go someplace else. Totally get it. But those in it for the long haul realize you should have held on to it. This is a massive opportunity. Yes, it took a dive. It's taken a dive over the past week. Totally understand. I'm not saying it was a bad decision. I'm just saying it's kind of a bad decision, right? I would have held on to that Bitcoin and said, if I can afford, X amount of money, because we're not talking about one person selling off 55 million M. We're talking about a whole bunch of people and then amassed to be about $55 million. But if I can afford to hold on, I would. I would. And even when it dipped down, I'd be looking to amass more. That's all I'm saying. That would be me. Something else that I'm paying attention to, I don't know if you guys knew, but Goldman Sachs is a bank. Didn't used to be. They switched over years ago. I've always known that. But this bank had decided a few years ago that they're going to buy, a couple of years ago, they're going to buy, who is it, Unified? Let me get you the name of, United. In the crypto minute, I said Unified. It's actually United Capital. So they bought United Capital for about $750 million. At the time, that was actually a lot of money. And they've been operating, they used that as the foundation for their advisory services because they were going to bring that to the masses. 4 years later, after you fast forward, and they're talking about selling. So here are a couple of questions that I have about the sale. Who is going to buy it? How much are they looking to sell it for? That's big. Then you have Montenegro and Montenegro and Palau doing XRP ledger for CBDC and stablecoin. That's big. That's kind of big. For those that are looking for the longer video, stay. For those that aren't, you're gonna have to go over to the other place. And XRP has been making moves. Let's not even play. They're making big moves. Just saying. Anyway, you know what we should do? We should get into the numbers. That's what we should do. Let's just fix that. Now you can see Bitcoin's up a little bit. It's not really up. It's, it just happens to be green at the moment, but it's at 2640, right? ETH is at 1663. It wasn't that long ago that I was talking about, ETH is at 1850. It's $200 drop. Yes, it's painful. It's painful. I don't like seeing it. It's painful. Vitalik Buterin moving $1 million. I don't know why people are freaking out. Maybe the guy just wants a couple of bucks for his pocket. Now, how many times people have just sent him money? Like literally just sent him money. I sit back and I just go, yeah, I think it's okay for him to sell his assets if that's what he's trying to do. I don't read anything into it. He's not trying to, have, Ethereum take a dive. He's the face. It's not going to happen. XRP is down. BNB is down. Matic is down. Just everybody that I'm interested in is down, except for Doge, which, truthfully, it's down. Everybody's down. Let's take a look at this big chart for Bitcoin, and then you'll see what I mean. Everybody's down. We crashed down below my 2828, which is the orange line here. We crashed below the 26475, which is the bottom part of my green band, the top part being 31580. But we're such a hair away from that 26475 that I have as my bottom point on my green band. You can tell right here, we're just moving. Look how sideways we're moving. That's massive. I mean, so yesterday, the fear and greed index was 38. Today it's 37. So basically we're still in fear. I have zero fear. And people ask, why don't you have fear over the crypto space? I don't have fear because the whole space, banking, just anything having to do with the value of a currency or coin is changing. Adoption is growing in cryptos. People are losing more and more faith in banks or aspects of banks, right? There's certain aspects of banks that people just don't care about. They don't want to hear about it. They don't like it. They don't trust it. That it's not even, I'm wrong. It's not even a point of trust. It's a point of, well, if the bank is using my money to make money, why can't I use my money to make money? And that's what people are doing. So they're saying, I'm going to decrease the amount of cash I hold. I'm still going to hold cash, but the rest of that money, I'm going to do what the banks are doing. I'm going to put them in stocks, bonds, whatever. I'm going to do that directly so I can make more money, as opposed to get this slither of a percentage from the bank as they use my money to make money. It doesn't hurt the big banks because the big banks earn revenue by offering almost a plethora of other services that smaller banks can't do. That's what I'm paying attention to. Big banks are not going to have a problem. They're absolutely not. But I do have faith in big banks, and I have faith in big banks because they have that way of earning money in different ways. And that's what I pay attention to. Banks that don't have that way of making money, those different revenue streams, yeah, you're going to have problems. They are having problems. So that's what I'm paying attention to. Anyway, that's Eddie J on Crypto. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you like what I'm doing, don't like what I'm doing, tell me how I can improve. How's that? That would be helpful. Anyway, I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.